Hello friends, welcome to my channel MJS Knowledge Hub. I hope you all are doing good. And today we are having the last session for chapter number 4, Business Continuity Planning and Disaster Recovery Planning of ISCA paper. Till the 3 videos we have seen what is BCP, what is a BCP policy, business continuity planning, and what is the framework, what are the objectives, and the different stages of building the plan, the 8 phases, and then what in-depth quite depth of BCP program. We have seen all these things, and if you have not completed the previous videos, I request you to kindly go to the channel and find these 3 videos which have been uploaded, and you can get a good hang of the chapter, and you will come to the last phase. In this phase today we are going to discuss regarding type of plans and then type of backups, and we are going to even see the recovery facilities, alternate processing facilities, details about that, and also we are going to conclude the disaster recovery planning. So I hope you are enjoying these sessions, and kindly share these videos to your required friends so that they can also prepare well for ISCA and give good presentation and examination. So without much delay, let's get started. So friends, we have successfully completed the BCM policy, BCM process, BCM requirements of the personnel, what are the competence required by BCM personnel. We have seen all these things in the previous 3 videos. Now here today we are going to see what are the different types of plan which are there for helping the system to recover from a disaster. So there are 4 varieties of plan. First is emergency plan, second is backup plan, third is recovery plan, and fourth is test plan. What is emergency plan? Emergency plan, as the name specifies, it specifies the actions to be taken immediately on the occurrence of a disaster. So it will specify the initial things to be done as and when the disaster occurs is specified in this plan. If an organization generally undertakes a strict review of all its controls and security standards, and then it takes the analysis of its security levels, it can get a clear understanding of where it stands in terms of risk, and also it can also identify the areas of risk, and accordingly make a suitable plan in which the emergency plan will be incorporated to act in the situation which requires its invocation. So the plan will specify these are different kinds of acts, these different kind of situations where emergency plan can be invoked. Once the emergency plan has been created, it must be articulated to all the people in the organization, and it has four components. I say first thing is as and when the disaster occurs, who must be informed. Second will be to whom should the first one is whom should be informed at the time of a disaster. Second should be what are the actions to be taken when the disaster occurs. Third will be any evacuation procedures required to be undertaken, and the fourth and final step in emergency plan will be the return procedure. Means by when you can come back to the original place, and it will be regarded as safe after the settlement of the disaster. Then comes second plan is backup plan. Backup plan specifies the types of backup to be kept for the data, because data or the information is very vital asset to the organization. Therefore, the backup is very important. So to specify the types of backup, frequency with which the backup is taken, procedure for taking the backup, where the location it is stored, and what are the resources used in backing up the data. Everything will be discussed in the backup plan. The backup plan requires continuous updation, and it must be in sync with all the data, and a particular person must be assigned for gathering the backup resources and for keeping the plan updated every time. Then comes recovery planning. See, emergency planning first will try to make the effect of disaster bit less, and try to get the business function into action. But recovery plan tries to get the entire information system into function. So this will be in the mid stage, where it will try to restore all the operations completely. The full information system operation will be trying to be recovered by the recovery plan. The recovery plan will identify by a recovery committee, and they will be responsible for the specific activities of the recovery plan. The plan should specify the responsibility of the committee to provide guidelines on the recovery and the type and the steps to be followed. The plan might also indicate the applications which are to be recovered first, and accordingly the recovery plan will be taking care of those assets which are given priority, and other assets will be next to it. Then comes the test plan. So the test plan is a final component of the recovery plan. Here they are going to test to see if the development plan as sorry Here we'll be trying to see if the plan developed, like this emergency plan or backup plan or recovery plan which has been developed, is actually suitable for the organization or not, and how well the organization is prepared and ready to face the disaster, and also how well the organization personnel are aware of such plan and are trained and are ready to act in any situation. So this will be test plan. But generally the managers or top people won't allow the test plan to occur because they may feel it is a bit of time consuming, and they also may be scared that a real disaster may eventually occur in the name of testing. So you may try to do the test, but actually it may result in real disaster. Therefore, they'll be afraid to go to test plan. But having a test plan will ensure us to understand what are the deficiencies in the plan we have selected, and where the plan must be improved, and how to make the people ready to face a disaster. It can be done in a phased manner. Like first level, it can just be a desk work or structured walkthrough to see how the plan is being implemented. Second thing can be a drill or a test plan which is being informed to the people who are being affected, who will be affected by the disaster. They will be pre-informed that this we are going to do like this. You need to train and understand the signals, and automatically they will try to cooperate and get the testing done. And the third and last phase will be conducting a test without prior intimation to see how the people are going to respond and how the organization is going to take the necessary safeguards. So the test plan is also must be updated as and when the business continuity management plan is being developed. So these are regarding the various kinds of plan. Now let us see the different kinds of backup available and what are the advantages and disadvantages of backup. We are discussing this backup because backup of the information is very important to store and preserve it for the future reference, and since information nowadays are assets for the company, a particular proper backup is fully essential. Therefore we have the different type of backup like full backup, incremental backup, differential backup, and mirror backup. So we will see each backup in brief, what are the advantage and disadvantage for the organization to choose one of these types of backups. So friends, let us now see the types of backup available. First backup is a full backup. A full backup captures all the files in the disk or within the folder selected for the backup. So with the full backup, what happens every time you take up the backup, entire information which has been backed up will be again fully backed up. Nothing is left behind. Okay, and this backup will take large amount of time and also large amount of space because it will be backing up the files again and again. Excuse me. So what are the advantages? It restores fast, it is easy to maintain. And what are the disadvantages? It takes long time because it should capture data for all the backup, which it will take the full data, therefore it takes long time, and it consumes large storage space also. Then second one is incremental backup. Incremental backup, the name itself says that you have a brief understanding that the incremental backup means the backup is going to take only the incremental parts, means developed parts. And incremental backup captures the files that were created or changed since the last backup, regardless of the backup type. You take either a full backup, you take defensive backup, any backup you do. But again, if you take this incremental backup thing, it is going to take up the only those files, it captures only those files that were created or changed since the last backup. It is most economical to use, and only the files which have been changed only will be backed up now. It will not take the entire data to be backed up again. This saves a lot of memory space also, and it is of good, it will be with faster rate, good speed. So what are the advantages? Much faster, efficient use of storage space. Then disadvantage, the restores are slower and restoring is a bit complicated because first thing, now let's say you have to back up the data for Monday to Friday. So Monday, let us assume there is no previous backup, one full backup is taken. Tuesday, what happens? Files which have been changed in Monday only will be captured. Wednesday, what will happen? Files which have been changed only on Tuesday will be captured. So when you want to again restore it, you need to go step by step sequentially, and it will take a much long time and it will be a bit complicated. Then comes differential backup. This one will be in between full backup and incremental backup. Here what happens, the differential backup stores file that were changes in the last full backup. Therefore if a file, remember here in incremental backup it is going to backup only since the files which have been changed in the last backup, but in differential backup it will be taking that backup after the last full backup. So here just only one day gap will take those files which have been changed or added in the just the day before. But here what happens, after the full backup, any change which occurs will be taken by the backup thing again and again. For example, again let us take the same example of Monday to Friday storage. In the defensive backup, what happens is that in the Monday backup it will be first full backup. Then Tuesday what will happen? Let us take Monday, certain files are not changed. Tuesday will not have anything. Whereas the Tuesday some file got changed. So Wednesday what it will do? It will take up the files which were changed over Tuesday. Fine. Again on Thursday what will happen? It is going to take the changes that happened on Tuesday as well as on Wednesday also. So after the one full backup, any difference that will come, any updations will happen, this backup will take it irrespective of its being taken before. I hope you are getting the point now. So comparing to the full backup, defensive backup are obviously faster and economical, but the problem is that restoring will take more, it will be a bit complicated to restore. So what are the advantages? It is much faster, yes, because it takes only the differential thing, and more efficient use of storage space. And what are the disadvantages? Backup are slower, not as efficient use of storage space as incremental backup. Why? In incremental backup, once on Tuesday you will take the files of Monday, on Wednesday you will take the files of Tuesday. But in defensive backup you will take the files on Wednesday, you will take the files of Tuesday, on Thursday you will take files of both Tuesday and Wednesday. Therefore the space is not effectively used. There is a lot of you can say recopying of the data. Then last disadvantage is restores are slower and complicated. The last type of backup is mirror backup. So mirror backup, as the name itself says, it will be identical to the full backup with the only exception that files cannot be zipped up. They can be protected with a password. They are just there because we have kept there. It is useful for making exact copy of the backup data. But the advantage is that it does not contain any old and obsolete files. But disadvantage is that if there is any source code or any damage through accident or sabotage has happened to the real data, into the actual database, then the data present in the mirror backup also gets automatically deleted. So we need to be very careful while opting this type of backup. Therefore these are the 4 backups: full backup, incremental backup, differential backup and mirror backup. Now let us see what are the alternate processing facilities available to us. So friends, now let us see regarding alternate processing facility arrangements. What is this alternate processing facility? See, in the entire chapter we have been saying that there may be a disaster, the disaster will impact the business, the disaster will impact the key critical functions of the organization, we need to protect it, we need to safeguard it, etc, etc, right? But if we want to protect the, in order to minimize impact of the disaster, and we want to continue the critical operations, we need to move to other area when the disaster is being occurred in our place. So the different areas, the management is going to have an agreement with them or prepare its own shelter for getting the process done. So these areas where it will be helping you to continue the critical operations in the time of disaster are called as alternate processing facility. It can be taken on, like it can be the area which the management has taken on rent, or it can be that area which has been prepared by the company in advance, taking into consideration the impact of the disaster. It can be anything. So what are the different varieties in it? First thing is cold site. The cold site is such that if the organization can wait some time, it can the critical operations, if though they are disturbed, it can sustain itself. If it can wait some downtime, then cold site backup will be very appropriate. The cold site will have all the facilities like system raised floors, air conditioning, power communication lines, etc., so that you can go to that place and start your operations. And what is hot site? Hot site is if the recovery is very critical, like you want the system to be ready in a very short span of time, and that means you don't have much time for the disaster to reduce and then go there, then you can try the hot site. Hot site is a bit critical because it will be having all the hardware. It is not just one or two, it will be having all the hardware required for operating facility will be available at the hot site. It is difficult to maintain, but in case of emergency, and if the management thinks that the data recovery is very crucial and critical, it may opt for taking up the hot site. Then what is warm site? The warm site will be in between the cold and hot site. It will have all the facilities of cold site as well as few facilities of the hot site. Like it may have the cold site facilities like raised floors, air conditioning, power equipment. Also have a hardware facility like having a small you can say a mainframe system, like that, so that you can connect to it and start your activities. Then comes a reciprocal arrangement. It means the agreement between two or more organizations to provide a backup facility in the event of one suffering a disaster. But this must be due considered before entering into these agreements, and we must ensure that the opposite organization has the capacity to maintain other people's operations along with it in the time of disaster. And suppose if you are taking a third party help for getting this backup thing, getting for using this alternate facility. If you are using the help of a third party, what points you need to consider? So the points which you need to consider are: how soon will the site be available subsequent to disaster? See, the once the disaster occurs, we are trying to move to a location to continue business operation, and in that case, if we are taking the help of a third party, we must ensure that within how much duration the site will be made available for us. Then the number of organizations which have been allowed to use the site in the case of concurrent disaster. Suppose let us say 2 or 3 companies are affected by the disaster at once. They are approaching the third part. They have the third party agreement for using this site. So who will be given priority, or how the site is being shared with others also? Then priority given to the concurrent users of the site in the event of common disaster. That's what just talked about. Then period during which site can be used, means what is the time duration when the third party is giving us the space to use the site. Then conditions under which site can be used. What then facilities and services the site provider agrees to make available, and what controls will be in place and working at the offset facility. The facility and services include basically confidentiality of information. So what are the other facilities the site provider agreed to make available, and what are the controls that will be in place and working at the offset facility? What controls you have in place? Controls for the data entry, controls for the movement of the people. So what controls do they have? These points must be remembered if third party site is being used as an alternate processing facility. Now we are coming to the end of the chapter number 4. So once we will have a quick brief view about what is disaster recovery procedure. See, business continuity planning is such that the business is continuing. There may be a disaster and it may impact the business. So in order to prevent that disaster from impacting the business, we are taking several steps and providing various plans and taking different kinds of action. But disaster recovery plan is such thing that the disaster already occurred. Okay, so now we are trying to recover the organization from the disaster. So what all points we need to remember and what the disaster recovery plan will include in it, let us see in a very brief fashion. Okay. So friends, now let us try to understand what this disaster recovery procedure plan. So if this plan mainly focuses on the activities which must be done after the disaster has occurred. So let us take out of all taking care also some disaster occurred and now the organization faces some difficulty. So what all the plan should focus on so that the impact of disaster can be reduced and the business can resume its function in a very quick time. So what does the plan contain? The disaster recovery plan document may include the following area. What are the areas? What are the conditions for activating the plan? Then what is the emergency procedure to be done so that the business can be impact of the disaster can be reduced. Then what are the emergency procedures to be done, which describes the actions to be taken following the incident. Then what are the fallback procedures, which describe the actions to be taken to move essential business into the other places. Then resumption procedure, which describes action to be taken to return to the normal business operation. Then awareness and education activities which are designed to create understanding of the business continuity plan among the employees and people in the organization. Then maintains a schedule which specifies how and when the plan will be tested and process for maintaining the plan. Then who is responsible, who is individual, who is responsible for development and implementation of this plan, and what are the alternatives taken into consideration. Then contingency plan contingency plan document distribution list, and also contingency plan for testing and recovery procedure. The disaster recovery plan will have a detailed description of the purpose and scope of the plan. This is very important. Then it will also specify the list of vendors with which the organization doing the business, and contact numbers for emergency purpose, and also the list of inventory taken and updated during the contingency area. Then list of phone numbers of employees in the event of emergency. Then emergency phone list of fire, hospital, police, etc. Then are the medical procedures followed in the case of any injury to anyone. Then are the insurance papers and claim form being kept ready for claiming them. Are they backed up or kept a safer place? The backup location as per the contractual agreement for the data. Then primary computer center hardware and software peripherals and equipment and software in the configuration. Are these secured or not? The location of the data and program and data dictionary and object codes and backup media, means technological stuff. Where are you going to keep? Technological stuff can relate to the hardware thing, also software like data program, data dictionary, and other peripheral equipment. Which area which is the area we are going to keep it. Then alternate manual procedure to be followed such as preparation of invoices in such cases. Then name of the employees trained for emergency situation, who are all again given training how to deal with this such type of situation, and what are the first aid and life saving techniques used by these people to people who have been injured. Then details of airline, hotels and transport arrangements, so that we can shift the people to any safer place when the disaster occurred. So these are the few list with disaster recovery procedure plan will be containing, and this will be helpful in effective coordination of the plan when the disaster occurs. So here we will be completing the disaster recovery procedure plan. Now there is another short thing which as an auditor we need to see, that is audit of BCP and DRP. So what does the auditor going to see an audit, and what will be his role in the BCP and DRP implementation. So now let us look into the audit of BCP and DRP.